There was a Republican representative by the name of Sean Duffy. He went on CNN to discuss Islamic terrorism, but the anchor wanted to discuss white terrorism as well. And watch how he danced around the questions and the utter hypocrisy of this guy. And you wonder why things keep going on in this country the way it's going. Let's go roll the clip.
Let him protect us. Give him a shot.
Congressman, why isn't the president talking about the white terrorist who mowed down 6 Muslims who were praying at their mosque?
Yeah, I don't know. But I would just tell you, there is a difference. Again, death and murder on both sides is wrong. But if you want to take the dozens of scenarios where ISIS-inspired attacks have taken innocents, and you give me one example of what's happening, I think that was in Canada, I'm going to condemn them all. But again, you don't have a group like ISIS or Al-Qaeda that's inspiring people around the world to take up arms and kill innocents. That was a one-off. That was a one-off, Allison.
Hold on
and you
a
have
second.
A movement on the other side.
Hold on a second, Congressman.
Bring it on, Allison.
You don't think there are white extremists? You don't remember Oklahoma City? You don't think that this guy who was involved in the mosque shooting said that he was inspired by things that he read online?
So you give me 2 examples, right? And in recent time, we're going to talk about the one example. And there is radicals all over the world and here in America now that'll take up arms and do bad things. But if you want to compare this one person in the last 10 years that you can give me an example of, Oklahoma was, 20 years ago, the Oklahoma City bombing, that's different than this whole movement that's taken place through ISIS that's inspired attacks. I mean, are you going to compare the one attack up in Canada to all the death and destruction in Europe from refugees or the attacks in the United States of America?
How about the Charleston church shooting?
But here's what
he was
you're
an extremist.
So,
he was a white extremist.
Yeah, he was. Okay.
How about that? That doesn't matter?
No, it does matter. It does matter. Look at the good things that came from it. Nikki Haley took down the Confederate flag. That was great. But you want to say, I can give you a couple examples. There's no constant thread that goes through these attacks. And you have radical Islamic terrorists and ISIS that are driving the attacks. And if you want to compare those two, maybe you can throw another one. I mean, look at Gabby Giffords. Look at Gabby Giffords, the Marxist who took her life, a leftist guy. And now you see violence and terror in the streets all across America, burning and beating people with Donald Trump hats. The violence you have to look at. You're trying to use some examples of the right. So where do we go? The left. Wait, hold on a second. The left has to say, violence is wrong, whether we look, and if love and peace from, as you brought up in San Bernardino, why don't we look at Berkeley, where people get beat, thank you. People that get beat up for wearing a Donald Trump hat, Make America Great Again hat again, or they get kicked, and stores get vandalized, and they burn and they beat. Where does the left and CNN and MSNBC stand up and go, you know what, this is wrong. If we're going to have peace in our hearts,
and
we're going to inspire the left.
Muslims are attacked as well, and when swastikas are spray painted onto buildings. We've been talking about
Allison,
all of it. Why are you using isolated? Why do you think that when it's a white terrorist, it's an isolated incident?
So what I'm saying is, you have a cell, a heart, a beat of ISIS that's inspiring people around the world. And do you deny that? That's going to Europe and come to America, whether it's lone wolves. And so what's the heartbeat of the attack that you referenced in the mosque, or what happened in Charleston?
Extremism,
is there a common theme that
hatred,
runs?
White supremacy.
Can we vet that? How should we vet that to keep ourselves safe? I'll join you in that effort. What do we do?
Do you not think it was white supremacy? This is what the shooters said it was.
Yeah, it's horrible. So what should we do? I mean, I'll join you. What do we do on the white supremacy front to make sure we don't have another attack like Charleston? I am with you on that, Allison.
Speak out about it, crack down on it, talk about it as extreme violence as much as we talk about all of the other terrorism that you call radical Islamic terrorism.
So let's crack down on ISIS. Let's crack down on the 7 terror countries that are riddled with terrorists. And give Donald Trump 90 days to 120 days, give him a pause to make sure he can keep us safe. Because you know what? If we could have vetted that guy who went into the mosque in Canada, or the guy that went into the church in Charleston and kept them from those deaths, wouldn't we do that? Wouldn't we take that step together? So if we would try to prevent those attacks in America from the 2 examples you gave me, why wouldn't we, if we can protect America from people who might come in to do us harm, why wouldn't we do that? The argument is the same on both sides.
Yeah, the only problem with your argument is that there is no terror attack that a refugee, no deadly terror attack that a refugee has been responsible for.
But there have been in Europe, and many in Europe.
Right, but not here.
But again, this is a pause, Allison. So why not take a pause? Why not learn from Europe?
Yep.
And say we can take a pause, we can review, we can analyze, and then we can bring those people in who are truly victims and want to come in and need a refugee status. They need a new home. I'm with you on that front.
Okay. Congressman Sean Duffy, thank you very
Allison.
much for the debate. Nice to talk.
Now, did you hear he would not acknowledge any type of white extremism, yet the FBI has determined the greatest domestic threat to America is white terrorists. It's those who are in those woods with militia groups, those who are anti-government. It's not black people that's doing this sort of thing. It's not even the Islamic people that's doing that. But yet everybody that's the enemy has to be outside of them. He brushed over the Canada attack. They never labeled Dylan Roof as a terrorist because, remember, terrorism is not relegated for those with white skin. They do that for people with brown skin or those who subscribe to a certain religion. You see, this guy is playing so dumb that he's asking a CNN anchor what to do about it. She's not in Congress. You are. You figure that thing out. But see, this is what they do. They would deny. They would deflect. That's the two things they constantly would do when you start pressing them with the truth, because he couldn't say she was lying about anything. He just minimized everything. Like he said, the Canada attack, well, that's a one-off. Well, you know, like we said before, isolated incidents, over 400 years of isolated incidents. But that's how it is with them. This is the reason why racism go on. This is the reason why we can't eradicate anything, because you got people like that in Congress making sure it go on and practicing this racism, period. Now, these people will gloss over the obvious, but yet going after things that hardly even happen. He talking about Europe. That's not here. So what are you worried about Europe for? We talking about the United States of America, but yet they focusing on that. And also to the Trump supporters. I thought you said you was working about jobs. How's all this stuff bringing you jobs? Because, you know, you need Donald Trump to give you a job. Why don't you tell Trump about your jobs? Because I don't hear none of you telling Trump about the jobs. You're always talking about everything else but a job. Go to Trump, tell him about the jobs, because what this guy is talking about here has nothing to do with your jobs you say you wanted from Trump. But this guy right here, ladies and gentlemen, and he blames everything on the left. At the end of the day, the left has nothing to do with us, and black people for sure is not out there. These are white liberals who are out there protesting. That's why I tell black people, stay home. Stay out of that mess, that left conservative stuff that they all into and arguing. That's their inner fighting. Stay home. Let's focus on our community, fix our issues and problems. Let them deal with Trump and do everything else. But I'm just saying this. This is how these people feel. No matter what white extremists do, that's isolated incidents. Everybody else has created executive orders, laws, and so on. Just exposing them once again. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this. Share the video, like the commentary, subscribe for more news stories.